It's me.
Welcome to Dig on America, where we speak truth to power. Every week, we give you the dig on how American history, policies, and media created the social and political issues we face today. DOA is independent media supported by listeners, but they'll tell you we're just fake news, deep state propaganda, funded by George Soros, the Clinton Foundation, BLM Marxists, and
Jules Verne.
The Wicked Witch of the West.
The Wicked Witch of the West. It is. Why are we all so close to each other there? Like we're all together now.
This reminds me of like ESPN when they got the sports shows.
The other way is like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. I
You
don't know
need
what
to
you
play. Ebony and Ivory needs to play while that happens.
that little video thing. Sorry, listeners of the audio podcast, you couldn't see any of that. Boom goes the dynamite. See the Anali man in the chat room. Welcome in to everybody who is joining the show. I am here today with apparently he is in an army of pirates. Big Haas. What's happening?
Just talked about this off camera, bro.
I know, but let's get us back here. There we go. Let's get some space between us here.
That's right.
Thank you to one of the listeners who sent me this.
The old school Vision
shirt. Yeah,
that's old school right there, baby.
Yes, our listener Neil.
How's your board?
Vision streetwear, baby. So
yeah,
I'm bringing it back to the.
You're gonna have a hypercolor pullover on next week.
Yeah, I don't even remember when this shirt. I don't even remember when Vision Streetwear was in, but it was had to be like the early 90s.
It was huge.
Late 80s, maybe. That was when the Vrané France sunglasses shirts were in. Everybody had Vrané shirts, but nobody knew what Vrané actually did.
Zubaz pants.
The
Zubaz pants.
Oh my God, I hated them from the minute they came out.
Yeah, those were the MC Hammer pants, but with the weird camouflage.
With the zebra.
Yeah.
Remember the Jenko jeans?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The wide leg joints.
Yeah. Tight in the waist and another waist
by
the
ankle. You literally look like a rhombus.
They were wider. They were wider at the ankle than they were at the waist.
Yeah. You can literally put those pants on upside down.
Two people could put them on upside down. Yeah. You could be a Siamese mermaid connected at the fin. So,
oh my God.
Welcome in, everyone. Today we have with us, as you notice, the producer extraordinaire. We were thinking before, we're like, where the fuck's Mikey? Oh yeah. That's right. Mikey's on the cruise.
Hey, we can't say that because we don't want nobody to rob his house.
He's already announced it on the show, so it's a little bit too fucking late.
Fuck ass. That's how you get robbed, Mikey.
Let's be honest. The guy doesn't really have anything except for $56 million under his pillow. I mean,
and all that cocaine.
Yeah, all that cocaine and that podcasting equipment and the drug cartel going on in his basement, that sort of thing. There's really not much else there. Oh, and I think he's got Batman #1 right now there. Welcome to Selena Spears joining the show. Hi, Selena. I know Selena. She is Twitter. We follow each other on Twitter, and she is big on Twitter Spaces. So welcome into the show. So,
hey, Selena.
Hey, Selena. So joining us as our guest today is Mark Phillips, the evil master, overlord, dictator of Big Heads Media. Ooh, and he's here today to give us a special announcement. So we are going to jump right into that, and then we'll go. I don't really have a dig topic today like I normally do, but I have a couple of things. So it's kind of the dig on what's happening right now in America, rather than looking at history today. We're going to look at right now today, because there's a couple of crazy things that have happened today. So usually if it's your first time listening to the show, we'll take a history topic, like say the Declaration of Independence or slavery or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Pause for a second. So being that I forgot that Mikey was gone,
Yeah.
guess what type of cigar I have right now?
What
Is
type
it-
of cigar do you have right now?
Dominican.
Ah! Those of you who don't know why we're laughing,
Oh my God!
we'll
he is
tell you
going
later.
to kill me. He
We
is
will
going to kill me.
He is going to kill. He's going to assassinate you. But that is too fucking funny. It's an inside Dig on America joke, people.
Oh
Unless you
my
listen every week.
Lord.
But again, normally we take a history topic and we'll talk about that history topic. We'll go over that history topic and then we'll say, okay, how does this history, what's written in Article 2 of the Constitution, etc., affect us today in our politics and everything like that. So if I see we have 5 or 6 first time joiners here, so that's what we normally do.
Welcome
Yes, but
to
today
Zamunda.
we're not doing that. Welcome to Wakanda Zamunda. Today we have Mark with us. Mark has a bit of a special announcement. So Mark, why don't you just jump right into it? Why the fuck are you here other than to find out what we're doing because you run the network that we're on?
Well, Dutch, I always love to be here. It's been too long since I've
We've
graced the-
evaded your tyranny for long enough.
That's right. Yeah, I have a bit of an announcement. So years and years and years ago, I started out my career in politics, working on various different campaigns, showing my true colors for Democratic candidates exclusively. Here in Michigan, I worked on Gary Peters' campaign. I worked on Governor Granholm's campaign. I worked on Kwame Kilpatrick's campaign for.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Oh, damn.
And then I got out of it.
Just to be clear, you were not behind the abduction of Governor Whitner.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. We just want to clear that up.
But I got out of it for quite a while. But I became aware of and contacted a man named Brian Jay, who is running for Congress in Michigan for the 10th district. He is a progressive Democratic candidate. He's not a divider. He's definitely very clear about that. He wants a united Democratic Party, but his message is a little more left than I would say the middle left. The schism in the Democratic Party that's happening right now. But he's running for Congress for the 10th district against Lisa McClain, essentially a Trump devotee who ran $1 billion company and decided to run for Congress because she thought it sounded like fun. So he is running against her in the 2022 election, and he is gracious enough to bring me on the campaign as his campaign manager. So top of the heap this time.
Very nice.
Nice. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
So if he wins, he did a great job. If he loses, it's your fucking fault.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, gotcha. That's about how that works. We all watch Designated Survivor. So tell us for a second what is like his main campaign platforms? Like where does he stand on the? Well, let's run down a few of them. Universal healthcare.
He is for universal healthcare.
Okay, to what degree?
Single payer, pretty much like more than universal healthcare, pretty much like nationalized healthcare.
Okay. How
you mean
about,
like all the other developed nations of the world?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Where is he on vaccines?
He is pro-vaccine, fully vaccinated. All the staff is fully vaccinated.
Okay, so he's a tyrant and made you get vaccinated. Gotcha.
God.
I'm just interpreting.
How dare he look out for your health?
I'm interpreting for the MAGA clan here. Like,
how dare he be concerned about
So he's
your
a
life or death?
socialist. He's a socialist, and he wants to have Volvos roll over on the side of the road and attach to your arm. Gotcha. Okay. And let me guess. He loves killing babies.
That's quite a loaded question. We actually talked about that the other day.
Obviously, I'm pretending to be a maggot here. So, but I take it he's pro-choice.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
And Haas, any particular question you'd like to policy question you'd like to go down?
Yeah. Where is he on reparations? Let's see how progressive he really is right fucking now.
Most of the money.
How progressive are you really, motherfucker?
No, he's definitely he is definitely in favor of reparations as well. We've had several conversations about many different issues. So for those of you that for the people that don't know, and I'm going to be a very Michigander right now. Here's Michigan. This is the 10th district, the thumb.
Okay.
Basically, our big platform is
yeah. Let me get a map pulled up of this road. Is this Lisa McLean's district?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. I thought I saw that earlier. Okay. Oh my God! Look at this district. So unbelievably, that's actually a normal shaped congressional district. What happened? Is the GOP losing power? I mean,
right, what's going on here?
I expect it to look like a twister board or something like that.
Right.
It's a piece of Arabic script.
It leans heavy Republican. We definitely have an uphill climb. The last Democrat to win was in 1993. We definitely feel that there's a demographic in this district that is woefully underrepresented. Brian himself is a practicing attorney. He went to the Oakland University, graduated their law school. He also, you guys will love this, he also is a huge comic book fan, and he has his own
okay, I'm voting for him. I'm moving to Michigan to vote for the guy. That's it.
He has his own vendor station. So he goes to different cons and stuff like that. He sells, trades comic books, things like that. Very down to earth guy though, and our main problems or the main issues for the 10th district are education. It's one of the school system is falls behind a lot of the rest of the state, and the income gap, because that it's a more rural district, and the income gap tends to be wider there than most other parts of the state.
Shocking.
Right. So that's those are big taxing the rich, as AOC displayed on her dress, and improving the education system in the district. Those are our big kind of our big tent poles.
So let me ask you this about education. Does he have a policy that you're aware of that he favors as far as education goes, with making sure that people have equal access to quality education?
Well, our the way we look at things is that, as you stated, our country is unique in the fact that we strive to guarantee equal opportunities for everybody. That doesn't mean equal outcomes. Everyone has their own skill sets, their own talents, and they'll take them, where they do. But everybody should start from the same spot, the same starting line. As such, we do believe that now, obviously, we don't. Brian has definitely nuanced opinions as far as things like the mixture of capitalism and socialism in the economy. But the school system is one area where being a little bit more socialist makes sense. There are certain things where, like police force, the military, firefighters, things where you want equal coverage for everybody. Everyone should have roughly the same protection, the same coverage from the police, from fire, from the military, and we believe in the school system as well. So if that requires funding be more equalized, around the state, from some districts to other districts, and not tied so much to the property value of the district. That's
Right.
what we're more in favor of.
Okay. Haas, last questions to you. And then
So
we'll
yeah, reparations. What would be his plan to what would be the plan, as far as seeing as how everybody has been paid reparations, what would be the process and strategy of going ahead and getting that passed in Congress?
So I will say, Brian and I haven't had super in-depth conversations. I've been on the campaign for about 2 weeks. Okay. We haven't had super in-depth conversations about reparations yet. I will say,
invite him here. He can have them here.
I believe that he and I are fairly in line with this. If a government can take an amount of money, let's say $1,000, $2,500 during a pandemic, and issue checks to people, to help cover their expenses and things like that, which obviously we are in favor of. We don't really see a reason why the government couldn't do the same thing for economic theft, honestly. And it's not about, some people will frame reparations as like, well, this is white people saying we're sorry to black people, but that's not what it is. It's the fact that when slaves were freed in this country, they were hobbled economically. Instead of being given an equal shot, an equal opportunity like everybody else, they were hobbled economically. And I know slavery seems like a long time ago, but it's not that many generations ago. And when you talk about generational wealth, inherited wealth, just different factors that make it harder for brilliant black entrepreneurs or artists to succeed in areas where they want to. When you have to worry about where your next meal's coming from, no matter what race, when you have to worry about where your next meal's coming from and things like that, it's much harder to create. It's much harder to be motivated. And it just so happens that because of policies of the past, that African Americans tend to be more in that category of having to have strong economic worries than other races. And reparations is about making that right, essentially. So we see no reason why a plan couldn't be put together that would basically help ease some of the problems and some of the mistakes of past administrations. They do it with, not always monetarily, but they do it with other mistakes that have been made. Some people, there's a debate that it's raged for a long time about Pearl Harbor and things like that. And U.S. presidents have expressed regret over Pearl Harbor. We're not perfect as a country, but the thing that makes America great is that we continually try to be better. The best elements in the country continually try to, improve things. Whether it's, baby steps, whether it's giant leaps, it happens in fits and starts. But that's the most American thing that you could do, is say, this wasn't right. This was anti-freedom, and it was an anti-American thing that happened, and we want to make it right. So we feel
Right.
that that's the most pro-American position.
Yeah, and it's and something to follow up on that is, we have slavery, we have the emancipation, then we have Reconstruction, then we have Jim Crow, so on and so forth down the line, and even up until present times, there are systemic issues that disproportionately affect negatively the economics of Black Americans.
Mhm.
And people want to jump, oh, slavery's over. Well, you know what? There's a lot of stuff that aren't done. And Selena, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
We
Black
also
Wall
have
Street.
extensive history of building
the
strong
comments.
economic communities
Read
and
the-
having them literally burned to the ground, bombed, covered over and made lakes, made Central Park, things like that. And
Yep.
all of that wealth and property, as she says, has never been recovered. And she's exactly right. And it just seems like, like I said before, everybody's been paid reparations. The Americans even paid Jewish people reparations, and we helped save them. And when we talk about reparations, and the most egregious example is when the slaves were freed, the slaveholders got reparations for the lost product that their
Right.
workforce being taken away. They got reparations immediately, bam, right now.
Yeah, and they were supposed to,
So
as we talked about many times on the show, we covered, we've covered this topic a few times. We haven't specifically covered Reconstruction, but we've touched on Reconstruction multiple times because it plays into other stuff. And one of the things that is never lost on me is that they were originally supposed to get the plantations divided up, and that's the whole 40 acres and a mule
Mhm.
myth, I guess you could. And I don't want to say a myth. What's the word? A
call
proverb.
it a promise broken.
Yeah, it was like a proverb or a promise that was made, especially to volunteers to the Union cause,
Mhm.
from the slave community, that they were going to do it, and then Lincoln got assassinated, and Andrew Johnson was like, "Nah, I'm going to put in an all-white government."
Mm-hmm.
Now that plan failed ultimately, but and then it was actually a pretty good time for a couple of years for Black Americans, and then
Mm-hmm.
the whole lost cause myth started up, and but it was just fine Southern gentlemen. But related to that, the Robert E. Lee statue came down.
Yep.
What was it, in Richmond, Virginia? I think
Mhm.
there's more than one, but it was 5 fucking stories high. Haas, your thoughts? Oh, and as they were taking it away, as the rigging crew was taking it away, they were singing, "Na na na na, hey, goodbye." Your thoughts, real quick, Big Haas.
I'm glad that they are removing symbols of hatred, persecution, brutalization, murder, etc., etc. But it's just that. In the end, it's a symbol. I want, and we want systemic changes.
Mhm.
Systemic changes, not just because in the end of it all, you pull down a statue and don't change any of the systemic issues. What difference have you really made besides a feel good story for a couple of days?
Yeah, and that's so, Mark. I'm going to shift it back to you real quick here. Based on that, where do you think that Mr. J and yourself and some of the other more progressive candidates differ on what Haas just said, as opposed to the let's call them corporate Democrats that make all types of promises and pretend to champion minorities every 4 years? Let me name a few. Feinstein, Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Bill Clinton, for that matter, Pelosi, Waters, Schumer, There are a fucking shit ton. Joe Manchin, right? All these guys who are these
Fuck that dude.
corporate ass Democrats who, have the same donors as their GOP colleagues. And they talk a good game, but you never actually see anything because they don't want to upset their poor Republican friends. So what needs to change in the Democratic Party, and why? And I'm sorry, and how and why do you think that you and your candidate, Mr. J, will affect that if given the chance to hold office?
I think the biggest thing that needs to change in the Democratic Party is fear. I see a lot of fear amongst a lot of Democrats since Ronald Reagan, essentially. The Democratic Party hasn't really been the same since 1980. And there's, as you said, there are two sides. There's the Bernie Sanders, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, my district. She represents my district. There's that wing that Brian J is more in. And then, as you said, you named quite a few good ones. There is the more corporate side, and I think that's a good title of the Democratic Party. Now, obviously, we have many points of agreement, especially socially, with lots of those Democrats, and some of them have done good things and helped people. So we don't, necessarily have any ill will towards them, but a lot of them seem very invested in maintaining the status quo. And I think that's where we have the biggest difference of opinion. There are things that have been going on for quite a while. The wealth gap being probably the biggest. Global warming being another one. It would be the number one if they weren't slightly more to our side on that than they were on the wealth gap. But those two large issues represent things as the way they are. And there are many Democrats that feel if you try to change too much or too quickly, then that won't win. Despite the fact that most of those topics, most of those issues are ones that the majority of Americans want to see change on. The majority of the Americans would be in favor of taxing Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and Elon Musk at higher rates than they're being taxed now. The GOP and some of the corporate Democrats try to play this game as if you have a 3-car garage and a $500,000 house, then you're rich and we're going to tax you. But that's not the case. That someone in that situation is so much closer to the poverty line, like just by factors of thousands closer to the poverty line than they are to the people we're talking about raising their taxes.
And what's crazy is most of those people with 3-car garages and $500,000 and up homes, they are still one medical emergency away from, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
A lot of those people still live paycheck to paycheck.
Absolutely.
So
there's and the medical stuff too. So the one fundamental belief of our campaign is that capitalism is wonderful for things that people don't use in roughly equal measure. Capitalism works wonderfully for cars, for toasters, for televisions, but when you deal with things that every person in the country needs in roughly equal measure, supply and demand will never balance that out. And those are things like I talked about before. Those are things like the military. Those are things like education. and healthcare. Healthcare is something we all need, and we all need it in roughly equal measure. And capitalism doesn't work for that. Demand for that will always outpace supply of that, especially now with the nursing crisis that is going on in the country. And those things work better in a socialist system where everyone is afforded, you take all the money, you divide it pretty evenly, and everyone's afforded the same kind of healthcare, the same military coverage, the same police coverage, etc. So, I think that's a big difference of opinion with the corporate Democrats as well. There are many positions that would have been, maybe not ultra conservative, but would have been moderate conservative opinions in the 1980s that are mainstream ideas in Democratic politics now. And I think we live in a time, there's a time for keeping the status quo. We're not agents of
once things are good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're not agents of chaos. We're not agents of change, or like for change's sake. There are times when the status quo is good. There are times to be a little more conservative than you would be liberal. But we're not living in those times. We're living in times where conservative politics have dominated for a long time, and small baby steps out of the problem are not going to do it. They're not going to make significant changes. So, canceling $50,000 of student loan debt for, people with student loan debt would be an enormous boost to the economy. The economic policies that we want, and we're not taking money from PACs, we're not taking money from big donors or anything like that. The economic changes that we want affect the middle class. They positively affect the middle class, and we're not going to make Jeff Bezos a middle class citizen. He's still going to be the richest person in the planet, or Elon Musk will be, or however they continue to fight those things. They'll still be up there. They'll just have a little bit less than they do now, and that money will go to empower the middle class.
Yeah, that less, they won't even feel it. It's not even a mosquito bite to them.
It's not even real, honestly. Like from the actual amount of capital that they access on a daily basis, that money is theoretical almost. It doesn't even really exist. It'll never be touched.
There's a good analogy that I heard. I watched some stand up because Norm Macdonald died, right? And Norm's hilarious, right?
Rest in peace.
Though a lot of people really worship him, I don't worship him, but the another one popped up after, and the guy said he was making jokes about Jeff Bezos. This was just today. I heard this. I don't even know who the comedian was. He said, that if we were in caveman days, everybody's got a cave. Got some people that don't have a cave. Got some people that got nicer cave than others. Then you got Jeff. Jeff's over here with 13,000 caves.
Yeah. Yeah.
with a T-Rex butler in each one of them. That doesn't mean Jeff Bezos is evil. No, but it's a system flaw. Right. And that's the thing is that, and like the weird thing is, like, when you talk to people who are middle class, they seem to be against this stuff a lot. Yeah. Because they aspire to, they're like, well, I make $200,000 right now. After my next promotion, I might be at $500,000, and I worked hard for that, and I don't want to be taxed more. But while not thinking about any of the tangential issues that pop up with that, right? Like this, well, I'll give money to charity. Yeah, but you don't know where that money from that charity goes. That's not saying don't give to charity, but we wouldn't need charities if we had a better system.
Mhm.
Right.
And no country in the world has the right system right now. No country does. But I thought I heard somewhere, I could have sworn this was true, that America was the greatest country. So shouldn't we have the greatest system and
Right.
not say, oh, but we're better than Mexico,
Right. Well,
right?
that's the thing is people will say, you talk about universal health care, you talk about nationalized healthcare, and people will say, "Oh, well, look at Canada. If you want a tummy tuck, you got to wait, 7 months to get that." Or they'll bring up things like that. They'll say, "Oh, you got to wait in line to get surgery," not mentioning that if you have a heart attack and you need heart surgery, you're getting it right there. You're talking about elective procedures and things like that. But even if you weren't, they'll say that, and they'll say, "Oh, there's problems with England's system. There's problems with Canada's system. There's problems with France's system." But aren't we the greatest, richest country on the planet? Why would you
Supposedly.
assume we would do it bad? Why wouldn't you say, "Yeah, we see the flaw you're talking about in Canada's system, or we see the flaw you're talking about over here, and we won't bring that into our system"? Like, we can do it better than anybody if we wanted to.
Supposed to be.
Yeah.
It always mystifies me why people tell you reasons why things can't work that have never been tried.
Right.
Yep. It's I'm going to move us on a little bit here. But before I do, how do people get in touch with Brian Jay's campaign?
Right. So visit brianjfrommichigan.com. You can donate there. Any amount that you are comfortable donating, that's not going to hurt you. We don't want people to go into poverty donating to the campaign. But we get a lot of $5 donations, $10 donations. And it's wonderful. But yeah, brianjfrommichigan.com. You can learn more about Brian there. You can see some speeches that he's made. He's been endorsed by several different progressive organizations. So definitely visit him there.
Is TYT going to interview him?
I'm working on it.
Okay, well, get him here first.
Oh, I will.
So, yeah, we'll take him in the next 3 weeks if you can get him on. So
yeah, I'm sure I can.
So here's what I wanted. I want to share, and this is kind of related. I want to share my screen and just show an article that it's the first of a couple articles we'll just talk about today. And then we'll get to the humidor and we'll get out of here in about an hour from now, folks. So this article is from ProPublica, and it says the title of the article is an attention grabber. It says a boy went to a COVID swamped ER, waited for hours, and then his appendix burst. So this is the guy here and his very hippie looking dad. It almost looks like Alex P. Keaton and
why is he trying? You cannot try to look stern with that hair, dude.
What would do, baby,
without love?
He can't look stern with that hair and those flat front crack khakis.
Yeah, let's just appreciate that scowl for a moment.
Yeah, look at that. He's trying his best.
That is a grade A scowl right there. I'd like almost take off the dress shirt and put on like a Harley shirt. And
I'm really chagrined.
I'm very disappointed in you. All right. So, but I do want to read a little bit of this. So,
of course, it's Florida.
Yeah. This article actually touches on a lot of different stuff. So I'm going to skim through this. What first struck Nathaniel Osborne and his wife when they took their son Seth to the emergency room this summer was how packed the waiting room is at 1 p.m. They were so crowded in Florida that there was not enough chairs for the family. They waited and waited. I'm paraphrasing some of this. 12 hours later, while still waiting, Seth's condition worsened, his body quivering from pain. He was finally diagnosed with appendicitis more than 6 hours after arriving at Cleveland Clinic Martin Health North Hospital. I mean, can you get a longer name?
Sounds like an urban church.
Yeah, that's way too short of a name. Yeah, the house of Bishop Pastor
Ebenezer Baptist, First Bishop on the Rock, Battery, Oklahoma, Church of God in Christ Incorporated, LLC.
North Campus. But was taken by ambulance to a sister hospital a half hour away. By the time he the doctor operated on him the next morning, his appendix had burst. Luckily, this young man survived. But the article goes on to say, as the nation's hospitals fill and emergency rooms overflow with critically ill COVID-19 patients, it is the non-COVID-19 patients like Seth who've become collateral damage. They too need emergency care, but the sheer number of COVID cases is crowding them out. Some health officials now worry about a looming ethical decisions. Last week, Idaho, which is hugely unvaccinated, activated a crisis standard of care, which one official described as a last resort. It allows overwhelmed hospitals to ration care, including in rare cases, ventilators or beds that may be used for those who are most likely to survive, while those not likely to survive may not be able to read one. Alabama is at 100% of its intensive care capacity. Texas, Georgia, Mississippi, and Arkansas are at 90%. Florida just under 90%.
Can I pause you for a second?
Please.
This is where the selfishness of the citizenry is so glaring. So many people, if it's not knocking down their door, it's not real. So you can throw these stats out. You could talk about how full these hospitals are. You could talk about all these cases. And almost every one of them, where there's a anti-vaxxer or a COVID denier or a COVID minimizer, you will hear, well, my friend had it and it was just like the flu. Nobody I know has it. The survival rate is 99.9%, et cetera, et cetera. Look past your own, excuse my French, past your own fucking nose. Just because it's not in your little bubble that you believe, because guess what? A lot of your friends are fucking going and getting vaccinated in secret with goddamn disguises on. So as long as people have to get out of your fucking bubble. This is supposed to be the United States of America, where it's all for one and one for all. We come together in times of crisis. This is one of the biggest crises in generations. And people are not united. They're not coming together. They don't want to do what's good for the public good because of their own inconvenience. It's an inconvenience to wear the mask. Mm-hmm. If I get vaccinated and people find out, they'll think I'm weak and stuff like that. What happened to the United States? It's supposed to be united. There's a public health crisis going on, and people are literally willfully closing their eyes and covering their ears. And that's it's sickening. It is sickening and it's frustrating.
I read a different story about a girl who was told by a coworker at work that, so she was engaged to be married. She was supposed to get married in August. I'm going to try to recall the story. She was supposed to get married like August 25th or something. And her coworker told her, don't get the vaccine because you guys are trying to have kids right away. So she didn't. And then they decided to book their honeymoon. They were like, you know what? We want to go to Costa Rica, so we're going to get vaccinated. They made an appointment. But for months, she had said, I'm not going to do it because I'm afraid. So finally, this girl came to her senses. In early July, she booked the appointment for, a few weeks out. And then they went to a bachelorette party. She caught COVID. She went to the hospital. She said, can I get my vaccine now? They said, you can't. Let's just say she never got married because she died. Right? So this is a person who made the decision to do the right thing. A couple of seconds, we're using the generational clock here. a couple of seconds too late,
Mhm.
right? And now this guy who's supposed to marry her, high school sweetheart, right? And over a stupid decision. And I'm going to tell you this: the person who told her this at work, you're
Mhm.
complicit.
Yeah.
And I don't care if your
'Cause
family
you
tells
spread
you
misinformation.
exactly. I don't care. People will go to this person. They'll say, "Oh, you know, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You had nothing to do with it." No, it is your fault.
Yeah.
It is exactly your fault. It's not
she-
your fault she got that she died, but it's your fault that she contracted the disease that killed her. You have a piece of that liability.
Right.
Not all of it, but you
Mhm.
have absolutely some of the blame.
Mhm.
This is not like early on in this show, we expressed skepticism about the vaccine. And I think
Yeah.
skepticism is fine. You could say, man, you know what? I think Haas said, I don't want to be in the first run of trials, right?
I
I didn't
did.
either, right? So that's being skeptical about it as it's rolling out and saying, well, you know, let's
Right.
see what happens in a
It's
few
like
weeks.
buying the first when a new car comes out, a new car model
Right.
comes out. You don't
Mhm.
get the fucking 2000. You wait until 2002 so you
Eh,
can get those
Right.
bugs out.
That's a similar analogy, but like there's a difference between being worried and like, hey, you know, people get sick when they get it. I mean, Haas and Mikey both got sick. You know, maybe I want to wait till Friday so I don't have to miss work or like
Right.
those types of things are reasonable. But just making up that it's gene therapy
Yeah.
or,
Or,
you know,
a
all of this
tracking
other
chip.
bullshit, tracking chips, or
Yeah.
like there are Republicans who literally believe that this is engineered to wipe people out
Yeah.
and that and I'm like, okay, well, then you should be fucking super happy because you're going to be the only ones left. But guess what? Right now,
Right.
the evidence isn't showing that because
Right.
I made a joke today on Twitter. It's kind of a joke that it said, here's a prediction for 2022. Blue wave engulfs America. I think I said it that way. No Republican could vote because they were either in jail for the insurrection or they were in an ICU bed.
Right.
And none of them, and by the way, none of them mailed in their vote.
No,
Right.
because it's unsafe. It's not.
Right.
That's riddled with fraud.
Yeah, it's real. So when you get blown out 45,000 to 6 on election day, it's going
Yeah.
to be your own fucking fault, right? So continuing on, I want to read a couple of these other stories.
Sure.
So in Texas, this is a staggering stat. And this is from ProPublica, who I wouldn't include in, you know, with the fake news conversation. In Texas, state data, which is cited in the article, a link to the state data from the state of Texas, released Monday, 2 days ago, that showed there were 319 adult ICU beds across the state of 29 million people and 104 pediatric staffed ICU beds across the same state. Altogether, that is 423 ICU beds available in the second most populous state in the country. 423.
But COVID, you know, everybody survives. Most,
So,
you know, 99.9%
hospitals
of people are going to survive.
now hospitals, to clarify that stat, hospitals do need to hold a few ICU beds open for heart attack patients, you know, stuff like that, trauma, car accidents.
Of course.
But so there's as the highly contagious Delta variant develops swaps of low vaccination states all at once, it becomes hard to find nearby hospitals that are not slammed. Wait times can now be measured in days, said Daryl Pyle, CEO of Southeast Texas Regional Advisory Council, which helps coordinate patient transfers across 25 county region. Recently, this is amazing. Recently, Dr. Cedric Dark, a Houston emergency physician and assistant professor of medicine at Baylor College, said he saw a critically ill COVID-19 patient waiting in the emergency room for an ICU bed to open. The doctor worked 8 hours, went home the next day. The patient was still waiting. On August 21st this year, Michelle Pouget took her adult son, Daniel Wilkinson, to the Belleville Medical Center's emergency room as he had a pain in his abdomen. Mama, he said, take me to the hospital. Wilkinson is an adult. He's 46, a decorated Army veteran. 2 tours in Afghanistan. Ushered into an exam room about a half an hour later. The emergency room physician there, Dr. Cackley, diagnosed gallstone pancreatitis. Blech. A serious but treatable condition that required a specialist to perform surgical procedure and an ICU bed. In other times, a transfer to an ICU bed would be easy. But Dr. Kakili found himself in a frantic 6-hour quest to find a bed for this patient. He called hospitals in Texas, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Colorado. By 2:30, Wilkinson's condition was deteriorating, and he told the mother, I have to tell you, your son's a very sick man. If he doesn't get this procedure, he'll die. 2 hours later, his blood pressure dropped, signaling his organs were failing. Dr. Keckley went on Facebook and posted in all caps, getting rejected by all hospitals in Texas due to no ICU beds. Please help. Message me if you have a bed. That worked at 7 p.m. that night. Again, he posted that at about 2:30. He got this young man into a bed. But it was too late. He died of this gallstone pancreatitis. 26 hours after he arrived in the emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what this is?
Yeah, please tell us. But the fault of this is the people who are pretending that this shit doesn't fucking exist. It's your fault.
I'm not going to live in fear. The blood of Jesus covers me.
But this pandemic and everything that comes with it is a failure in the education system. It's a failure in the healthcare system. It's a failure with the media. It's all the failures in the systems of the United States of the past 25 years or so, all coming together. It's all come together to where people don't believe. I saw a stat the other day. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I'll give you the shape of it. It was the upticks in deaths, hospitalizations, and cases of COVID, and on the top line was the unvaccinated, which it was by month, so it went down a little bit, and then as the Delta variant came up, huge upsurge for cases and hospitalizations and deaths. And then underneath that was the vaccinated, which stayed pretty much at a flat line almost. And people believe, because of misinformation in the media and a lack of education, which doesn't provide them with the critical thinking necessary to understand that what they're hearing is bullshit, that they could take ivermectin, and that's more effective than a vaccine.
Well, Joe Rogan said.
No, I know.
Yep.
I know.
Here's the thing is that he's taking all this other stuff and is actually probably getting better because of all the other stuff in spite of the ivermectin.
Ivermectin that's not the problem. The problem is that because you had hydroxychloroquine, you have this ivermectin, which is not, by the way, it's not horse dewormer. So please, people, stop saying that it's horse dewormer. It's not. It is in massive doses, but the human dose is not a horse dewormer. But so facts matter, but it's not for this disease.
No,
right?
I mean,
it's just not. That's like saying I can cure COVID with Ventolin.
Right. The science on it is up in the air. But the point is that they'll believe that before they believe that a proven vaccine where all the data is in.
Right.
And
we don't know what's in it. Well, tell me the first 3 ingredients of ivermectin. How about that?
Tell me all the ingredients
flour,
in the chips
eggs,
that you
and
ate.
syrup.
Yeah. What's in Doritos?
It's all natural. It's all natural saccharin. These, but like the thing that really burns me. And by the way, Selena is taking the place of about 8. So I don't know where the fuck all our listeners are tonight. Mikey's not here, so his crew didn't show up. So Selena's taking the horns here. She says it's horrible that people are dying from fixable medical emergencies because of the ignorance of others. Yeah. So you're running the show tonight, Selena, in lieu of, I don't know where everyone's at tonight. But we did go on a little bit early, so maybe they don't realize it. But nonetheless, look, I have I wasn't even going to do this. You're here, some crickling here. This is what's in my granola bar. There's chicory root extract, soy protein isolate, semi-sweet chocolate chips made with chocolate liqueur, cocoa butter, soy lecithin, palm kernel, peanut oil, protein concentrate, fructose, vegetable glycerin, rice starch, soy lecithin, mono something
sodium
sultrate.
glutamate.
Yeah. Like, so people don't know
that's MSG.
What's in pretty much anything, right? We trust the Food and Drug Administration in every single instance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that we can't be critical of the FDA when it's warranted to be so, right? That's not to say that they've been perfect, but let's not forget why the FDA exists, because before that, look at what was happening with the meat packing plants, right?
People's fingers were in hot dogs.
Yeah.
They were the hot dogs.
They're not joking when they say that it was lips and ass, right? So there was literally pig lips and ass in there, right? Like, so, feces. And, that's where a lot of these virus, and now there's another virus I was reading about that's got nothing to do with COVID. That's starting in India. It's way more deadly. Thankfully, it's not transmissible. I forget what it is. It starts with an N, but hopefully that one doesn't.
Hey, be careful
spread,
there.
right? So not
it's an N-word virus.
Yeah. Necrophiliac virus. But like the problem is that, see, here's the thing with conservatives, and those of you who are listening, I mean, the conservatives are really good at their messaging, because the problem that we're up against here is that no matter what, it's wrong, right? Like Haas and I have talked about this before, Mark, and like and that's the problem you guys are going to have in this campaign in Michigan is you'll say, well, the CDC says this. Well, the CDC is corrupt.
Fuck the CDC.
Yeah, okay, but they're citing an MIT study. Oh, well, that's
fuck
Boston.
MIT.
There's a bunch of, they're a bunch of liberals, right? No, but this guy was the guy who wrote it is a conservative analyst. No, but he's a rhino, right? And then beyond that, you disprove that claim. He's not a rhino. He just, he voted on this, that, and the other. Yeah, but he's been deceived. Like people loved John Bolton before he got back with Trump. Then he turned on Trump. Oh, we hate John Bolton. We always hated him. We always thought he was a neocrat, right?
Yeah,
a neocon lackey. Okay, where's your story? Like the story shifts, the goalposts just constantly shift. And I'm not exonerating Democrats from doing this from time to time, but the Republicans are doing it to a masterful degree that is like 19th degree black belt. I mean, this is just some fucking amazing shit. And then when they bring religion into it, it's impossible to get any logic in edgewise, because now God has control, right? Well,
Yeah.
God will stop the COVID. Then why do you need
Why
a
isn't
fucking
God? Why can't they believe that God is stopping COVID via the inspiration of these doctors and researchers and immunologists and epidemiologists who are coming up with these treatments?
Mm-hmm.
if you
If you believe in God, then you got to believe, since God doesn't make mistakes, that he is the one inspiring, he or she is inspiring these scientists to come up with these cures, with these preventions, with these mitigations. But apparently there's limits to God. It has to be divine intervention or it's not God.
can you how do you justify the statement, I don't need the vaccine, I don't need to, and it's not just like, it would be different if they were like, well, I'm not going to take the vaccine, but I'm going to wear a mask and I'm not going to come out of the house, right? That's a different, completely different conversation, because that person's like, I'm going to protect myself. These people aren't taking, like, they're unmasked and screaming at each other at church and baseball or whatever the case, not screaming at each other, but like, singing out loud at church. And like, I'm fine. Let's do that. Right. That's fine. But protect yourself while you're doing it. Wear a mask or take the vaccine or whatever. No. God, the power of prayer will stop COVID from killing me. Great. And if that's the case, then you can unwind the Second Amendment now, because God will stop the robber. There is no need whatsoever
Or stop the bullet.
for you to. There's no need for you to have
Pulp
a gun.
Fiction style.
Exactly,
Matrix.
it's divine intervention, right? I'm sorry, my friend. This is divine intervention, and I want you to fucking acknowledge it.
Yep.
Okay. So but like it's true though, right? Like, why do you need a gun if you have God, and God works that way? Because Christians like to pray, and this is not an anti-Christian statement. This is a problem with what the church has put into people over the years, that we can pray away things that we can't see with our eyes, anxiety, cancer, these types of things. But have you ever seen anyone regrow a limb from prayer? That doesn't mean prayer doesn't work, but it shows that there's a limit.
Sure. I think God, and I think I would hope that most Christians see the logic in this, but I mean, I don't know. But God is not a superpower. You can't run in the middle of traffic and say, well, I'm not going to be hit by a car because God is protecting me. God's power is in creation, and God created you with a brain, with common sense, hopefully, to understand how to protect yourself. That's the power of God's protection, is in making you separate from the animals.
Common sense.
Yeah, because you have free will. You have the power of cognition.
Right.
That's what you use, what God gave you to protect yourself.
Right. The talents that God gave you, like basic intelligence.
Exactly.
To say,
there was a
disease
quote.
Is deadly.
There was a quote from Martin Luther, and I don't know. I didn't look into it. I just saw it on one of the social media sites, so I don't know if it's an actual quote from him or not. But I thought that it was a good thought. And supposedly there was an outbreak of, I think, the plague, at the time, and Martin Luther wrote that he believed that God would protect him and everything, and that God, the part of the reason that God was protecting him and using him to protect others was, he would not be afraid. He wouldn't, just hole up in his house, but he wasn't going to go to crowded areas. He wasn't going to, go to the market and things like that. He would avoid areas where he might get ill, and in getting ill, pass it on to loved ones and things like that, because he believed that's what God, would want him to do.
Exercise. I blessed you with common sense.
Exactly.
Utilize it.
Yep.
Wear a mask. Oh, there's a vaccine. If you're skeptical, do your research. Actually, really do research, not just from your own echo chamber of your ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people do. Is as Dutch was talking about, how anything that doesn't conform with their ideology, then they try to poo-poo it. But other media resources are gospel because they are echoing what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing you have as a human being that God blessed you with, if you believe in God, is the power to change your mind based on new information. A dog will eat as long as you put food in front of it.
Yep.
Right? But we've been blessed to be able to say, I'm full. And you should use your intelligence. You should use the powers of discernment that you've been blessed with to say, man, either this is the biggest international global conspiracy there is, and a very, very few people are out there telling the truth, but they believe that demons impregnate people, which,
Yeah, but what you missed though
or
is it is that though. But think about what you just said. It is that, because it's kind of like, and this is a good segue because we're going to talk about the election in a second here. But they say that it's the biggest conspiracy ever. They said this with the election too, right? So one way or another, they're right, because either COVID is this engineered thing that's made to wipe out humanity, or the anti-COVID is a myth movement is the biggest engineered scheme to wipe out humanity. It's one of the two, right? Like with the election, they said this is the greatest election fraud in U.S. history. If you're wrong, then it's the greatest attempt to overturn an election in the history of any democracy. One of those two things has to be true, right? So it's just in both cases, the facts don't add up to their side. If they did, I'd be like, okay, I have no loyalty to the Democratic Party whatsoever.
Right.
Zero.
Right.
Zero. I don't even like them. It's not my fault they're right now.
Right.
But here's the thing. I'm not listening to the Democrats.
Look who the fuck we have here now. It's Mikey Famine. What's up, you son of a bitch?
Hey, Mikey, you're going to be real pissed off come humidor time.
Yes. So, all right. Well, let's get into, I want to get one more real quick story. In light of California's recall election,
which failed miserably.
Funny fact: the counties that voted for the recall to happen and wanted Larry Elder as governor, Haas's like uncle. He's like your second.
Fuck out of here.
Second uncle, 4 times removed. That's Uncle Larry.
Forcibly removed. Forcibly. The fuck out of here, dude.
The counties that voted to recall Biden or Newsom. And by the way, I have no love for Gavin Newsom either, right? But those are the same counties right now in California with the highest COVID rates. Whoa, you don't say. Okay, so it is about the big lie. I was looking at this. In January, this is from CNN, so it's completely fake, of course. In January, a CNN poll said 59% of Americans said they have confidence in the elections that this country reflect the will of the people, while 40% say that they lacked that confidence. Okay, so this was the poll. 59% said they have confidence that the elections in this country reflect the will of the people. All right. 40% said they lacked it. I repeated that twice just to make sure it went through. Today, a majority of Americans, 52%, say that they do not have confidence that elections reflect the will of the people, while 48% say they do. That is a swing in less than a year of 11 points. And it's in the wrong direction.
Crazy.
76% of Republicans say they have little or no confidence in elections reflecting the will of the people.
Because to them, they are the only people that matter. You know, it's almost like if you're a football team and the parents are in the stands and you watch your son's team get their ass whooped, are you going to get in the car and drive home and say, you know what, y'all really won that game? Y'all really won that game, and the refs stole that from you. I know it was 76-17, but the refs stole that from you, and your shoes were bad, so the cleats that the school provided were corrupted by Russian intelligence. Or we the people is all the people. It's not just the people that agree with you. We the people is all the people. All the people that were eligible to vote, most of them went out and voted.
The people.
The people. Right.
That's what I was going to say. The will of what people?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They believe that their section of people are the only people that matter. So therefore the will of the people wasn't met. But no, it's the will of the people that don't agree with you too. Their will counts too.
Yeah. How about like the fact that the poor vote in incredibly lower rates than the middle class or the rich, or that black people vote in lower rates than white people, or that Hispanics vote in lower rates. People and groups who maybe have jobs that they can't, because we don't have a national voting holiday or anything like that find it difficult to wait in long lines at polls, and obviously you can't mail in your ballot because that's fraud. Like how about that? How about making it harder for people to vote?
That's the thing. And when the poor come out and vote, when the blacks come out and vote, when the Hispanics come out and vote, when the elderly come out and vote, what happens? Oh, you see what happens in Florida and Texas and Georgia. Yep. Oh God, they're coming out again. We gotta clamp down harder to make them not. And this is on tape. They've got this on tape in multiple instances at GOP meetings and conventions and conferences where the lower the voter turnout is, the better it is for GOP politicians. They don't want everybody to vote. They've said it. Yep. And the people that are conservatives still believe that bullshit that they say, oh, it's for voting integrity. Get the fuck out of here. We know why. Because we've got you on tape saying why. Yeah, and it's like people are like battered women.
They'll just say it's deep fake.
Yeah.
And they'll say things like, oh, you need ID to buy alcohol or to buy cigarettes or something like that. And my response is always, well, it's, there's no, rights in the Constitution to smoke cigarettes or, maybe something that's a fundamental right of all citizenry should have a lower barrier of access than
let me real quick, because it seems like when you start talking for a minute you start popping, so I'm going to pause you for a sec, but let me just say this real quick. I am actually for having voter ID, but I am for ID being I think that every single American should be given an ID at zero cost.
Yeah, they should fucking mail them to your house.
Yeah,
you're of legal voting age. Here, we're gonna mail you an ID.
Exactly.
It'll have this on it. That it'll have your social security number on it, or something like that. You bring in a social security card, it'll have your address on it. Whatever.
It's got to be so easy to get that the person who it's hardest for it to get can get it easily.
Yeah.
So
Because here's what happens.
We
They'll
can do
say,
that.
oh well, you need a voter, you need a state ID, and your state issued public housing ID doesn't work. So you have to have a state ID. But we're going to close down the DMVs within a 50-mile radius of your house. So now you got to go 60 miles to go to a driver service facility to get a fucking state ID.
Yeah, and you can't can't fall victim to that. You can't do it where you have to have online access to do it, because that would actually disenfranchise some of the rural people, right? You know, who are the Trump voters. I don't want to disenfranchise Trump voters. You know, so
well, they'd never go for your plan. They'd never go for your plan, Dutch, because mailing voter IDs to everybody in the country who's eligible to vote would actually make it easier for people to vote. Because
I didn't say a voter ID. I meant an ID, like a state issued federal ID card that you can get on an airplane with. Because right now, people who don't think about it, if you can't vote because you don't have an ID, you have a lot more problems than that.
Yeah, you're not traveling.
You can't travel, right? So like you don't have the right to go on vacation because you can't get an ID. I got an idea for you. This will really trigger the evangelicals. How about we put it in our right hand or our forehead?
Oh God, dude! Don't do that, man. Oh, don't have the black delegation come out here and
scan my forehead,
dude. Don't do that. And
and real quick, by the way, all right, I'm gonna make
revelation come to life.
I'm making an executive call here. So we have Selena has been posting so many comments today, and apparently all of our viewers have taken the night off. Selena, DM me on the Twitter. I have a couple T-shirts. We'll send you one. So send me a DM on Twitter.
You'll get a T-shirt.
And you'll get a T-shirt. But the comment was a lot of places allow the use of hunting licenses as a form of ID, but not a utility bill, right? So I wonder why. So let's just give everyone a fucking US passport.
Let's get everybody gets a hunting ID mailed to their house.
Or that or a passport, right? I mean,
right.
Let's just hunting ID you need to get, right? But why not give everyone a pass? Like a passport costs like $40.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really that big of an expense?
Way more than that.
Well, mine costs like $40, but it's like 8 years old.
Is it? But that's like for a renewal. My wife and I are going on a cruise in February, actually, and I've never had a passport before, and she hasn't either. We not just probably 2 months ago, because the wait is huge to get one. But like 2 months ago or something, we went to the post office, got the picture, all the stuff that we needed to do so they could send it into the State Department. But it was like $220, I think, for to all together for both of ours.
Yikes. Why don't you go ahead and read that comment, Mark?
Amendment 4, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. That's the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so the last thing that I was going to mention here before we get to the humidor is this. I had a conversation yesterday with my landlord who's from Nigeria, and he's really fucking interesting guy, right? He's a doctor, and he was talking about how he was training someone. I guess this guy makes like 100, whatever hospital he works at. I don't know how much he makes. This number is made up, but it's, I guess he makes like $100 and something an hour. Right. So, and it's fine. He's a physician.
Yeah.
And then he was talking about how he was training someone for work, and that person he was training to do his job when he went back to his home country for a while was going to be making $40 an hour more than he was.
Wow.
Okay. So part of the reason for this, it appears, is that in order to get help right now, you have to pay these wages. And we had a conversation about it. And while I was talking, something dawned on me. I don't know if I'm the first one to make this revelation, or I don't even know, maybe I'm right. Irish Swede, or if you're in the chat, I'd like to see your thoughts. But I started thinking about it, like the wages right now for warehouse in LA are going up from about $16 per hour to into the 20s, right? So people are switching jobs because in a lot of times, some places guys are swapping jobs, right? He goes to work at Nike. This guy goes to work at Monster Energy, right? Or whatever the case may be, because they're like, we need people. And they're seeing these ads for $8, $9 an hour more than what they make. And we started talking about, like, you know, because there's still this rumor that people didn't want to go back to work because of pandemic money. And I'm like, look, it was $26. It was you're making about $52,000 a year, sure, but you weren't getting that. Like, if it was a full year, it would be 52, but it's 26,000 over 26 weeks, right? Which equals about $52,000 a year if you stretch that out over a year. And people made that money, and they were like, hey, I can actually pay my fucking bills off of this. I was used to making 35, 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as we started talking about it, like this employment problem, because it is a problem, and I don't agree that it has anything to do with the pandemic pay. I know it has to do with a systemic issue in America where people are underpaid. But then this thought dawned in my head, a little light bulb went out, and I said, you know what, Chem is my landlord's name. I said, you know who's responsible for this, ironically? Donald Trump.
Mhm.
Because the Trump administration signed that into law, and he signed it and said he was the greatest hero of mankind. And you
Mhm.
know what? In this particular case, I got to say, you started the revolution. You're exactly right. You deserve all the credit. And I couldn't be fucking for one happier, because people now realize that getting out of bed and going to work for $40,000 a year and doing $85,000 worth of work is easier
Bullshit.
if you're getting out of bed and doing it for $50,000 a year, right?
Mhm.
Still might be underpaid, but am I off base here? What are your thoughts on this?
No,
Mark?
I agree. I think that I think that's a big part of it. I think the pandemic plays a part in the fact that, you know, people saw family, friends become sick or worried for their health and thought there are more
You
important
see
things.
the cat sticking out. So the video, the cat. All right, I'm sorry. Listen,
Oh, the
listeners.
cat is beautiful.
Mark's sitting there. Mark's sitting there, and behind him is
Yeah.
a curtain. Behind Mark is a curtain, like the shade. And as he's talking, a cat peeks its head out and just stares at the camera, and the eyes turn yellow. We're like, what the fuck is growing out of Mark's head?
The cat looks out and goes like, "Hey, what y'all motherfuckers talking about over here?"
He's like,
Yeah.
Cat shook his head. He said, yeah, Trump did that shit.
Yeah, we have
Trump-
two Siamese cats, so
Yeah, he was responsible for
It's
the
beautiful.
social revolution. But anyway, continue your thought.
but yeah, people, you know, thought there are more important things in life than putting myself at risk or being away from my family for this extended period of time for what? I mean, not enough money. And they found other things that they could do. There were like we talked about before, suddenly I don't know what the percentage is or anything like that, but suddenly I'm sure this happened to lots of people, TikTokers or YouTubers or, you know, whatever. But suddenly, when they didn't have to worry about where the next paycheck was coming from, let me make this YouTube series I've always been thinking about doing, and it was good, takes off. They can do that now. So people find alternate ways to make money. It's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of, you know, you like wanting more of an emphasis on your family. And it's a little bit about what you're talking about, Dutch, where it's like, why am I going to go and be this underpaid? So, you know, suddenly they have to, especially at some of the Burger King. I mean, I think we all saw the story about where, the Burger King employees quit en masse, and like situations like that. I saw the other day there was a McDonald's that was saying they were offering $31 an hour for people to start.
That's a lot. I didn't see. I saw 19 over here, which is
And
still pretty good.
oh yeah, and I go into I don't like to do drive-throughs as much. I like to go into fast food places.
You know why? Because like my man said in Lethal Weapon 2, they fuck you in the drive-through, man.
That's right.
Leo Guest said it best. They fuck you in the drive-through, man. They fuck you in the drive-through.
But I see like people talk all the time about like, oh, these burger flippers or whatever, like they're nothing, first of all. But I see people. I worked fast food, and I see the adults, the human beings that are there making sandwiches. They work very hard. I see them work very hard, and to be on the front lines of a pandemic, working as hard as they work, in hot conditions for $10 an hour, $12 an hour, whatever it is. I don't blame them for not wanting to be there anymore. And that's what you have to do. If you have to pay higher wages, and the other thing too, not to be morbid, but the other thing too is, 800,000 people have died in the United States.
Right.
That plays a role too.
Yeah.
Well, that and like also think of this. You have childcare, right? Childcare costs have gone up.
Oh yeah.
And you have the Delta variant, which is also, putting kids more at risk now on top of that. But, we pay our nanny $15 an hour. And really, we pay her more than that, because if she works,
you give her a tip, Dutch?
Yeah, no, she's not that. But but we pay her.
Pause.
We pay her a minimum of $500 a week, even if she only works like 9 hours. Right? She makes $15 an hour, and if she works 35 hours, then she goes over that. But if she lately she's only been working, 12, 13 hours a week. But we don't want to lose her. So we pay her $500, just to make sure, biweekly. I mean, but she's only working a couple hours, and we're giving her $250 a week for, 8-9 hours over time, sometimes 10, 12, sometimes she'll go over, and then we'll give her the 15. But we're terrified that we'll lose her to somebody who's going to offer her more.
Yeah.
Right. And like so we pay her that little bit of extra money because of that. Like, we need to be able to go back to work, because we're blessed enough where we make more than, what you can make off unemployment. But Trump, again, he empowered the American worker to realize that, hey, you know what? Companies are happy to pay more they might not bitch about it, but they pay more for their electric bill when it goes up. And now you got to pay more for people. All these companies are saying we have to raise the prices of stuff, but they want to fight on, giving people a raise and paying them what they're worth. It doesn't make any sense. And you know what? People are switching jobs because they're saying, hey, if you're not going to pay me, the company on the street will. And now people have become a commodity. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you. You have absolutely made America great again. I give him all the credit. Haas, am I right or wrong?
The sun shines on the dog's ass every once in a while. The sun shines on the dog's ass every once in a while. And you will be surprised the number of people who have started businesses from home, Amazon fulfillment and stuff like that, who have had, because they had to work from home, embrace that entrepreneurial spirit and develop their niche, and are now don't have to go back to work because they started a home business where they could be home, because guess what? People work from home and found that they were just as productive, if not more, than when they go in the office. But they have the ability to get their kids off the bus, and not pay $1,500, $2,000 a freaking month in babysitting. Or They love the fulfillment of being home while their kid was homeschooling and being there with their children, but still being able to be just as productive at their job, but being home and having that family time and that family bond that, guess what? They want that. So when their job said, well, you got to come back to the office, you know what? There's a buttload more of jobs now saying, hey, what? You know what? If they could do this at home, then we don't have to pay the lease for a fucking building. So let's just let everybody work from home. So there's a lot more jobs saying you can work remotely. So if you're going to try to make me come back in, I'll find a job that'll let me work remotely.
Yep.
Hey, and I'm all for that. I'm all for it because the more companies that work from home, the better we are off in logistics and supply chain.
Yes, and you know something too? We cut pollution.
That's true. Also, Mikey, if you're listening, get ready to be very angry. And then we'll learn about Mark's podcast after these messages.
Welcome to the Humidor with Big Haas. Find out what Haas is puffing and drinking tonight. If you try his suggestion and you die, that is natural selection. And the DOA podcast is not responsible for you being weak fucking sauce. So now, the one, the only, Big Haas.
You got your ice cold water? Let me splash it on you.
It's not fucking water.
All right, Big Haas, what are you drinking? What are you smoking? Mikey is going to be so livid.
He's going to be livid. I'm smoking
Tons of Mice. How are you, Tons of Mice? The pandemic destroyed my home business pretty much. And I have a second job to pay the bills. So sorry I missed your comment.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
But hey, come on, let's work for us. I have a job as a producer. Mikey's gone. Big Haas, what are you drinking? What are you smoking?
I'm smoking with my pinky up today. I'm drinking with my pinky up today. And I'm doing that in a way that is like, why would you do that? But because I'm fucking Big Haas, and that's what I do. All right, so today I am smoking the Archetype Axis Mundi cigar. And I'm pissed off.
The evil Axis Empire.
You don't even understand how pissed off I am, because I got this as a throw-in for a cigar club I'm in. And I only get one of them. And I like it so much that I want to buy a box. But guess what? They don't fucking make it anymore. So I'm stuck. I got this great cigar and I'm smoking it. And I realized as I'm smoking it that it's fucking phenomenal. So I'm looking to buy more, and I've been scouring the earth like you would not believe, and I cannot find this cigar, and I'm really pissed off. But the Archetype Axis Mundi is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cigar, okay? It is very beautiful Ecuadorian Habano Maduro.
Where is it? Where is it from, Big Haas?
Well, I'm getting there. Okay. So the wrapper, dark Ecuadorian Habano Maduro. Then the binder is Indonesian Sumatra. And the filler leaves are from Dutch.
Is it mine or my?
It's yours. Wait.
Nicaragua.
And
República Dominicana.
Yes! Yes!
Here, I'll throw it to Mark. Mark,
República Dominicana.
Say it in your best Cory Booker voice.
What?
Say República Dominicana in your best Cory Booker voice.
República Dominicana.
Or
you're I was gonna say Jeff Bezos. You're Beto O'Rourke.
This is fucking hilarious because for weeks now, Mikey, because he gets to say República Dominicana. When I have a cigar that's from the Dominican Republic or has leaves from the Dominican Republic. So he's been pissed off every week for like what, 10 weeks?
Yep.
And the minute he leaves, and it's my fault, Mikey, because I forgot that you were going. And I picked this one. I'm like, Mikey's gonna love this. He's gonna get to, he's gonna get to say his thing. Da 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 da. Anyway, so
womp womp womp.
The origin is Dominican Republic. This cigar got a 96 rating by Cigar and Spirits magazine and a 93 rating from Cigar Aficionados and a spot in the top 25 cigars of 2017. Finally, I don't know if it's because of what I paired it with or whatever. I read the review. I said, okay, we'll see what happens. And guess what? I got almost all of the nuances from the cigar that they talked about in the review. So I don't know if my palate's getting more selective and diverse, or it's what I paired it with. But I get the sweetness. I get the baking spices. I can smell the nutmeg or something when I'm smoking.
You're gonna love my nuts.
Mm-hmm. I swear to God, when I retrohale, I can get the little bit of plum or some dark fruit, like a black cherry or something as well.
I'll give you a black cherry.
Very little. There's no like peppery essence to it, but it definitely gives you a little bit like of a brown sugar or something like that. Like when they talk about baking spice, we talk about brown sugar, we talk about nutmeg, we talk about a little bit of cinnamon. I'm getting all of that from this cigar. It's phenomenal. And I am smoking the I want to say that this is the Toro. It's about 6.5 and about a 6.5 inch and a 50 ring gauge, about maybe 52. But it's phenomenal. I had to relight it a couple times, but the burn line has maintained a pretty good consistency. Even though I relit it a couple times, the nuances and the notes that I'm getting have not soured or gotten any more accurate or anything like that. Just a great, great cigar. A little bit of coffee, some caramel, a little bit of some type of nut pause in there. And if you can look here, you see, I like a veiny cigar, and look at that thing. Look at the veins on that thing.
Pause.
Beautiful, beautiful cigar. You see, it's got like a little bit of a sheen to it. It's a little oily. It's like that, got that velvety feel to it as well. It's really comfortable in hand. The draw of the cigar is an easy draw. I wouldn't say it's loose, but it's definitely not tight. Very easy draw. Of course, I did the deep V cut. You know how I do. And look at this band. All right, so two things. At the foot of the cigar was like a little band as well for archetype. But then up by the cap, they had this beautiful band. And
the bigger the cap, the bigger the peeling.
But you know something? A lot of people, especially novices, they buy the cigar based on how the band looks. And this is a great band. Oh, so anyway, let me get to what I paired it with. So a lot of people, favorite drink is Jack and Coke, right? But Jack Daniels sometimes, it's lowbrow, right? Everybody drinks Jack. So I say, you know what? I want to respect my roots and do the Jack and Coke thing, but I want to upgrade what I use. So I busted out the Johnny Walker Double Black. Okay? So I got Johnny Walker Double Black and Coke, and it's better. It's this I'm gonna have to buy another bottle of this Johnny Walker because, man.
How many years is that one?
24? Let's see here. I'm not sure. And I don't want to,
besmirch the name.
Yeah, I don't want to lie.
All right.
But Johnny Walker Double Black, this is that shit. Now I drank it straight. Oh, I drank it on the rocks a couple weeks ago, and I damn near killed myself. I was pretty toasted by the end. But this Johnny Walker Double Black and Coke brings out more of the sweetness. That could be the Coke, but it could also be some of the essence of the whiskey as well. If you want to upgrade your Jack and Coke, Johnny Walker Double Black is a way to do it, and you will not be disappointed at all. I mean,
And your rating
cigar
is
is wonderful. Still sweet, still tasty, burning well, moderate smoke. I wish I had saved this for the weekend in a way, because this is just such a phenomenal cigar. I got to figure out how to get it one. 4.95.
there. It is.
I'm only taking off I'm taking off 0.05 because I had to relight it a couple times. But man, this is Archetype knocked it out the park with this one. I'm gonna have to find some.
That's a new all-time high. Awesome. It's the Biden 2024 cigar. No, what is the name of it again?
Archetype Axis Mundi, Mundi.
We'll call it the Bruno Amato 2022 Memorial Cigar. Yeah.
I hope Bruno's listening. That's the great one. Hey, guess what? If Bruno Amato is half as good as this cigar, he's going to be a great rep.
All right, Mark, the show is yours, sir. Tell us about what you got going on with Big Heads Media, with Retro Late Fee, and give us the campaign spiel one more time.
So, Big Heads Media, as you all know, great place for many wonderful podcasts. Some of the sports podcasts are over. We have a deal with Halftime. You can get Halftime Sports app if you want to. It's a place where the people can go and talk. Kind of like the format that you guys do here, but it's all audio over there. So a lot of the sports, you can find your favorite sports teams over there, and there's a lot of our podcasts over there hosting shows and stuff like that. I'm talking to them about expanding into politics and things like that. So you guys will be the first to know. But the creator over there, he helped design Reddit and Instagram. He was like the first hire of Reddit, and he basically was the lead designer of the Instagram app. So there's good talent over there, and we're partnered with them. As far as entertainment side goes, we keep plugging along. I've been looking for maybe a couple new entertainment shows, but nothing's come up yet. But the podcast that I do is Retro Late Fee. On Retro Late Fee, my wife and I review one movie and usually one television show, and we do some entertainment news. But we do it 25 years in the past. So currently for us, it's 1996. Bill Clinton's president. There is no pandemic.
Just the Lewinsky pandemic.
Right. Well, not quite yet, but yeah. The most recent movie we did is Feeling Minnesota with Keanu Reeves.
Wow.
I once knew a stripper named Minnesota.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Oh, I did for a short time date a stripper named Dakota.
Nice.
So I was feeling Dakota for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how can they find your shit, Mark?
Oh yeah.
What type of listener would like your show?
So I mean, if you're nostalgic for the music and the movies and TV shows of the 90s, I think you'd love our show. We do a separate show on 90210, same channel on 90210 as well, where we watch episode by episode. A show I never watched when it was on the air. But
you can You could probably get like Brian Austin Green to come on your podcast. Like a lot of those guys, or Ian Zierling. I bet he would.
Right.
He did Sharknado. He might come on.
But yeah, so if you're fans of those sort of things, check us out. We have a website, retrolatefee.com, and you can check us out there, or you can check us out on bigheadsmedia.com.
And one last time, if they want to support the campaign for Brian J.
Yeah, please go and just check him out. BrianJ from Michigan.com. Check him out, see what you think. There, like I said, there's some speeches on there. There's some policy positions on there. If you're interested, go ahead and donate. And we're always looking for volunteers. Anyone wants to volunteer for the campaign, you can go ahead and contact me at Mark Phillips at bigheadsmedia.com.
All right. We look forward to having Mr. J here on this show. If you don't come through and you're in big trouble.
No, I'll hook that up for you guys.
You might be the overlord at the moment, but Big Haas is going to come overlord over you. He drives up through Michigan frequently.
No, I know. I've seen him doing his cable crossovers. I don't want him.
He'll take a quick little U-turn around Grand Rapids and make that right. And be like, told you. All right. So with that being said, Big Haas, your 30-second outro, and we're gone.
People, this pandemic is real. Get your head out your asses. Okay. At this point, I don't necessarily care if you get the vaccine or not, but put a fucking mask on and don't act like it's some big deal to put on a mask. Okay. We've got doctors.
All a big conspiracy by Black Lives Matter.
They've got double masks on. They're doing CPR. They got all this PPE on, and you're complaining about a mask. Wear the mask. You cover your mouth when you cough, right? You cover your mouth when you sneeze, right? You know what I mean?
Not me. I'm free.
How many of you people that don't wear masks because it's restrictive or whatever, or it doesn't do anything, tell people, cover your mouth when you sneeze? We tell our kids that all the time. Cover your mouth when you sneeze. Why? To keep other folks from getting sick. So I
had someone say to me that masks don't work. I won't wear them. And this person was smoking a cigarette, and I was like, I said, take a puff through your cigarette. I'm like, you see it turns yellow there. So any layer that you put in between you and what's on the other side is going to pick up something.
Right.
And they're like,
of course. Of course.
That's as articulate.
They can't
as
say that. They
are.
can't say
you're just a
you got a point there. They can't say that you got a point there. But my thing is this. A lot of you people who are anti-maskers and
what do you mean, you people?
You people. A lot
what
of
do you
the
mean,
people,
you people?
A lot of the people who are anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers were the same ones on social media talking about it's not about black or white, it's about America. Remember that? But you're the same people who saying, well, they lived a full life. It's the elderly. They lived a full life anyway, or this or that.
Not only that, Haas, but think about this. They're the same people that said to Colin Kaepernick, just follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same people that said to, all the unarmed black people being killed by the cops.
If you just comply.
Yep, if you just follow the rules, it wouldn't have happened to you.
Have you seen the hashtag lately?
Mm-mm.
It's I will not comply. On Twitter.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
It is amazing. All right, folks. So thanks for joining the show. Thanks for
America's been written by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes. A very, very poor, and it's not one of the good ones. It's one of the bad ones. And there's a lot of them.
It's a Lady in the Water.
Yeah. The Village.
Y'all
right,
just
folks.
not mentally deep enough to get the brilliance of M. Night Shyamalan.
Right. You're right. It's exactly
You got
what
to
it is.
joggerchize your ejaculate. Okay?
I'm not sophisticated enough. Folks, we'll see you fuckers next week on Dig on America. I don't know who the guest is going to be. I don't know what the topic's going to be, but it's going to be something. And we'll see you later.
Something. That's what you say about an ugly baby. Ooh, that baby sure is something.